Hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic, wishing you all a very happy Valentine's Day, I guess. I hope you're treating your significant other with a little bit of extra attention today. I've snuck away for half an hour so I can tell you lot what I thought of my stack this week, and finally a stack with some substance. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 comics to talk about, and some surprises here, things that I expected to really wow me just kind of left me a little bit disheartened. And other stuff that I thought was just going to be okay, it's going to be what it is, surprised me by its brilliance. So let's kick it off. It's not at the bottom of the pile because it was in any way particularly bad. Just with the rest of the stuff that came out this week, it kind of got there. It is Ultimate Comics X-Men with issue 22. We come to the end of a Reservation X storyline from Brian Wood. And I've got to say, I'm kind of happy it's ended. We've come to the, pardon the pun, the ultimate ending that could have possibly happened with this whole mutant seed storyline. Obviously the humanity at large haven't taken the idea of this mutant seed that can grow anywhere and will feed the world continually forever and ever. They haven't taken it very well. And obviously they've been, the mutants in Utopia have been attacked continually. Their kind of public persona isn't looking any better than it was previous to bringing out the knowledge of this seed. And it was to be expected. If you're going to put out a product that is essentially free and is going to stop people making a lot of money, you're going to miff off a few people. So with the continued attacks on Utopia, because within Utopia there is the seed, Kitty is still holding strong on the whole pacifist stance. We're not going to fight back, we're going to show them we're better people. And we have Husk make a return. Head between, you know, head bowed down, kind of in shame for everything she did, the whole bomb scare. But she lets Kitty know that there are more mutants on their way to Utopia. So Kitty has this whole rousing speech that to the group at large here already in Utopia, basically saying, come on, we've got to put our differences aside, we've got to be seen as a united front for when these new mutants come in. And just as she's getting to the crescendo of her argument and her speech, there is a huge explosion and the greenhouse which houses the mutant seed is blown to smithereens. Phew, that ends that storyline nicely, doesn't it? And everyone will be nice to mutants again. Well, there's a little bit of a fake out. And get ready to hear a lot of that phrase this video. Yes, it was all a ruse between Iron Man and Kitty, realising they've done the wrong thing, and the only way to draw attention away from them now is to act as though the seed has been destroyed. But in fact, Iron Man's going to look after it for a while, until the world is apparently ready for it. Like I said, I'm kind of glad that Reservation X is now over. Looking forward to see what Brian Wood can come up with next to top this. Surprised because you will have heard my little kind of dilemma with this issue last time it came out, last month. It's Buffy the Vampire Slayer number 18, and I was kind of at my wit's end with this title and barely holding on for dear life, just through my loyalty to the kind of Buffy franchise as a whole, because I do love it so much. But hey, I think Andrew Shambliss must have heard my video, realised I was getting well and truly hacked off with this and almost ready to drop it. And he knocked it up a gear. Yes, this is what I've kind of been waiting for. A little bit of oomph to the storyline. Siphon, it's finally kind of brought out into the open that he is actually after Illyria because of her kind of time bending, going backwards and forwards in time power ability. So this whole siphoning of other demons' powers, it's all been a bit of a ruse, it's all been a bit of a trap to get the council to come out in the open so he knows where they are and he can siphon off the power of Illyria. Now this is obviously because so he can go back in time and save his girlfriend, who he blames Buffy for being turned into a zombie. So finally we've got loads of action, lots of fighting, loads of planning, and things by the end of this don't go exactly to plan, as is always the case with Buffy. But what's going on in the background? We've got this critically ill Dawn in hospital where no one understands what's going on with her. And so we could potentially we've had Buffy bot, we might just be getting Dawn bot in a way to stop her from dying. Finally, a great issue of Buffy I can jump on board with and really, really love and enjoy and have that fun that I've always had or used to have when I was reading a Buffy comic. So it's had a reprieve. It's not getting dropped. And I'm kind of glad, because I would have been sad to see Buffy go. Issue 2 of 4, The End Times of Bram and Ben. This is just a funny title. Bram, at the end of last issue, had just announced that he wanted to be the Antichrist. And he's kind of miffed off because the news teams, the news channels haven't actually picked up on this huge event that he thought was worthy of their attention. But like most things of this nature in this day and age, his video has gone viral and has been picked up by just the populace at large rather than the news companies. So he now has all his little followers who are pitched out outside his house wanting to hear the words of the new Antichrist. Obviously Ben isn't happy about this and wants to leave, but then his kind of crush girlfriend, wannabe girlfriend, turns up and thinks this is a great idea. So Bram's kind of like, is kind of like, oh okay then, and he goes back. So yeah, with all the followers, who comes in now? It's the demon that's been hiding in the alleyways and the angel that's come down to try and sort things out. The demon obviously coming up to Bram because he wants a bit of a change. He's kind of fed up of being in hell. It gets a bit boring after a while. But the angel is siding with Ben, trying to get Ben to stop Bram from just basically being a bit of an arse. And there's a huge demon angel fight, and it's just a great whole lot of fun. The artwork by Festanti and Brew, just very reminiscent of Chew, like I said last time. If you're a big fan of Chew, I would highly recommend this book. I think you'll get a real good kick out of it. I did think this was going to be a lot more, because it was kind of set up that this was going to be very kind of, while it was tongue-in-cheek, there was going to be that blasphemous air about it all, the whole taking a little bit of a poke at religion. And I don't think, seriously, they've gone far enough with it, if that really was their intention. It seems very kind of watered down, but it's still a great lot of fun. Definitely worth a pick up. Wolverine and the X-Men makes it to issue 25. And how does Wolverine celebrate this little anniversary? He takes the kids to the Savage Island. Why? Why? Yes, our group of kid misfit mutants are on a field trip to the Savage Lands. And this is basically Wolverine trying to get them to work as a team. Crazy. These bunch, clearly none of them like each other. They're all completely different. How in the world are they possibly going to at least get on? Never mind work as a team. And Aaron really plays on this. And it's just Wolverine sticks them right in the middle of a big old dinosaur fight. So there are some lovely huge splash pages of just the team putting down lots of kind of dinosaurs and pterodactyls and all that kind of stuff. But the idea is they have to find Wolverine, they have to track him by working as a team, and then they can come off the island. And that's basically, it's a pass. You've passed the lesson. In all this, there's some beautiful moments. We've got Brew back, but Brew has gone back to his feral state. He's no longer that very eloquent, intelligent version of the Brood, but now that old shot to the head, it's kind of messed him up in there, and he's gone back to being feral, and it seems only Idri can calm him down and keep him under, you know, under wraps kind of thing. And then we have this fantastic scene with Quentin Quire. It is just hilarious. An issue quite a while ago, this is obviously before Professor X died, he announced that Quentin Quire be elected for school president, and the votes are in, and the final casting vote was, of course, had to be by Wolverine, and Quentin Quire is now school president. And so Quentin takes this opportunity in the middle of all this madness to make his kind of first presidential speech in attempt to get the team working together. And it's really good. It's very kind of like rousing, and you're thinking, this is going to work. They're actually going to have him as the leader of all people to bring this team together. But of course it doesn't work. They all just fly off and go in their own directions with their own problems, and just left Quentin Quire thinking, why didn't I just manipulate their minds like I wanted to begin with? Why did I try and be good? Just a perfect scene. Tailed on the start and the beginning of this, we have Logan's brother, is it? And then there's a future self of Logan's brother in there. That bit I didn't quite get because I don't really know a lot about Wolverine's kind of origins, and clearly he has a brother. But his brother isn't happy and has followed the gang to the Savage Land in what looks like an attempt to take down Wolverine. The artwork by Perez is kind of interesting because it has this kind of indie hit feel, and I think that's a lot to do with the colouring from Martin on this. And it works when we have the Savage Land stuff, but the top end and the tail end with the brother, that seemed to look a little bit different and a lot more Wolverine and the X-Men-esque that we're used to. But I really dug the art. I thought it was really fun and definitely lended itself to this kind of kooky X title. Oh, Morning Glories issue 24. I do like this, but I'm confused as hell. Please, Nick Spencer, just answer some questions for me, please. Just give me something. This issue is an Ike-centric story, and his youth. Growing up as a child, his mother is sleeping behind her husband's back. His dad is never there at all, not even, you know, special birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas, all that. Never there because he's doing things in the background with the old academy, all the kids. And this is a father and son story. And at first, Ike seems to be kind of like, he's still that kind of cocky young child that we now see him as a young adult. But you still see triggers of softness about him. He hasn't kind of tipped over that edge of complete cynicism and looking out for number one yet. But again, it's confusion. We have an appearance from this kind of long-haired ghostly figure again, and who seems to have some connection to Ike's father, who is chained up in the basement of the academy, and for some reason the faculty of the academy need Ike to kill his father again. Yes, again, Ike has killed his father previously. Confused? Yes, I am. But like I said, it's just, there's something about Nick Spencer's writing, coupled with Asima's artwork, that just draws the reader in, and you just, despite the, and again I say it every month, the Lost TV style of writing, you just can't not pick up the next issue because you're hoping something will get answered. We'll wait. So we finally make it to the top two books. One, I've kind of put where it is more for the overall storyline and not so much because I thought it was a good single issue. Because I was kind of disappointed with it. I have to say, you'd be surprised. Batman at issue 17. Now, everything happens in this issue, and at the same time, nothing happens. There is the kind of regurgitation of why Joker is torturing Batman and the Bat family so much. The idea that all the Bat family are dragging Batman down to, you know, tipping over the edge. We have that age-old storyline about why Batman won't kill, or why won't he kill Joker? Just put an end to it, all this madness, all these people he harms. But surely just by killing Joker will stop this. We've had the story kind of again and again. And as I expected, now I'll say now, because I am going to just spoil the hell out of this issue because it needs to be talked about in a kind of a lot more detail. So until you see this comic get put down and my pick of the week come up, I would stop the video, fast forward it, so if you haven't read it, I won't spoil it. Here we go. So we have Batman at the head of the table. He's all tied up. We've got all the Bat family around him. We can tell it's them because we can see their costumes, despite the fact that their heads are covered with kind of sacks. There are silver platters in front of all of the Bat family, and you're thinking, finally, we're going to get some death. So we first remove the cloth sacks from their heads, and Batgirl, Red Hood, Nightwing and Damian Robin, all their faces are bandaged up and bloody, and I'm like, he hasn't, he hasn't, and you just, is he really? So there's this big dramatic lift up and up and up. What is under those silver platters? We finally see all their faces. And you're like, he did go there. Oh my God. How? We knew Joker was crazy, but really? And you know, it's still in the back of my mind thinking, yeah, this can still be sorted. Batman's world, full of scientific, medical advances, we can properly put these faces back on my family, and, you know, not make it look like a freak like Joker does at the moment. So, you know, I'm not too worried that their faces are in there, because, you know, you can't do that to the whole of the family. Then we get Alfred being thrown in there, and he has obviously had a huge dose of the Joker fumes, the gas, because he's white as a sheet, he's looking crazed. So we know he's not dead, he's not been blinded. First death that we all thought was going to happen, out the door. So then there is this trap. Batman can't move because everybody's been doused in gasoline, and the slightest little scrape, if he moves from his chair, will ignite it all. Well, Joker just throws a match in anyway, and everything goes up in flames. But Joker's not counted on the fact that Batman knows exactly where he is, and gives a bit of a prod to the roof, water cascades down, and we have the family rescued. Of course, they're all freaking out because they think, what's happened to my faces? Batman rips off the bandages. Oh, they've still got their faces. It was all a big fake out. Now, what did I warn you right at the beginning of this? This was never going to be about anybody dying. It wasn't. No one. I mean, Alfred, you can think as little of him as you want. You may think he's such a kind of background character, which I don't believe for a second, but they were still, he's been in the Bat universe for so long that there was no way that Snyder would kill him off. And given this is our new 52, there was no way none of the kids were going to get killed. This just wasn't going to happen. And you just feel a little bit deflated. So Batman rushes off to go and, you know, put the smack down on Joker, leaving the kids behind, who Joker's still got a few tricks up his sleeve, and the little pussycat that's been running around suddenly kind of ear explodes, Joker gas everywhere, they start fighting each other. But somehow they fight through this new strain of Joker gas and just end up laughing on the floor and holding each other tightly to get through it while it kind of dissipates. And then we have the huge fight between Batman and Joker, where Batman seems to know who Joker really is. And just as we're about to find out, oh, Joker escapes, throws himself into a ravine, and he's presumably dead. It's all been done before. Yes, it was all very exciting. It moved very quickly. The artwork by Greg Capullo, really great, as always. But I just felt let down. There was nothing new here. I was disappointed. And then, of course, as I predicted at the start of this, as I said, no one was ever going to die in here. It was death of the family. Batman is expecting a kind of group hug back at the mansion, but all the kids find something better to do or have an excuse to not turn up. Even his son, Damien. And this is kind of what I hoped for, what I knew would what would happen, and what I did actually hope for, because I wanted Batman to be removed from the family. I want him to have to work alone. And come more darker, yes, to not rely on the other Bat family, and let them in turn do their own thing. So although it's so high up because I think Death of the Family has been a great event, I don't think this has been a very good ending. Pick of the week. It's Fatale again. Sorry, but it was so good. It's really strange because although I've been enjoying Fatale as a comic in general, and the overarching storylines that have come previously to these one-shot deals, the one-shot deals have delivered what I was expecting expecting, because we had this whole crime noir but with the supernatural slant, and we get much more of the supernatural slant in these one-shots than we've had probably throughout the whole previous 10 issues. This takes place in the 13th century France, and we're introduced to Matilda, who is clearly I'd say a version of Josephine. I don't think it's the Josephine, because of the ending. But she certainly has the same powers that Josephine has over men, being able to mould them into, well, to do anything that she wants them to do. And obviously this gets her in a lot of trouble, and eventually this cult that we've seen throughout the series try and kill her. They torture her, they burn her at the stake. She's still not dead, and she escapes to the woods where a man lives on his own called Ganix. Now, before she's found by Ganix, we have this wonderful this escape through the woods where she sees all these strange creatures, almost demon-like, but they won't touch her. They leave her well alone, but at the same time they seem to be leading her, and this is where she ends up with Ganix, who lives in the middle of the forest, and many years go by. And the twist-ish at the end just kind of really fits the story in that, you know, Matilda thinks she can't die, but there clearly is a way. We don't see it, but it happens. And then what we're left with is what we've seen in previous storylines, the whole book with the kind of history of our fatales. Just another perfect, almost perfect, because I don't think anything is ever perfect, but almost perfect storytelling from Ed Brubaker. Just to be able to tell a story so succinctly, but so enriching as he does here. And of course the artwork by Sean Phillips. It doesn't seem to matter what era he is given to draw, he just seems to invoke that time, that place, and just again draws you into this kind of creepy, messed up world of these poor women, and obviously the men too. So it was a long one this week. I better shut up now, let you all get back to your smooching with your loved ones. So I shall say goodbye. If this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button that's somewhere around there. Give it a big thumbs up and give me some comments. Was I a little bit too harsh on Batman? Do you want to see more oomph from the End Times of Bram and Ben? Did anyone else read Buffy, and are they actually quite happy that it's getting back on track? Until next week, bye bye.